Right, guys, this is 1.12c. You can download this from the link in the description, and if you need private tutoring, feel free to reach out. Okay, we are given two graphs over here, f and g, and they're asking that if I want to move f to g, or if I want to transform f to g, then which of the transformations will work? Okay, just by looking at it, I feel like this function has been shifted a little bit to the right and a little bit up, right? A little bit to the right because this point sort of like moves uh, obviously to -1. It was initially at -3 and it was initially at -2 y coordinate and now it is at -1. So just with these two things, I think right and up is only in this option, right? Option C. So yes, this is the correct answer. But again, if you want to be more precise, more confident about it, if you don't like this method, then you can just take any one point. I think we have talked about this earlier, -3, -2, and then look at this. This will be -1 and -1. So obviously, if you want to make -3 to -1, you are going 2 units to the right. So x should be replaced by x minus 2. And if -2 is going to -1, you are adding by 1. So it should be option C. Okay, likewise over here, I think, don't you think, guys, this is also, this looks like a sheer reflection about the x-axis because, this pattern is this comes up, this comes down, this comes down, this comes up. So this is definitely a reflection about the x-axis where option B tells us where the reflection is. So it should be option B, right? It's not the reflection about y-axis, and I don't really see any translation vertical or horizontal because this -3 stays at -3, and this -3 y coordinate just becomes +3, or +3 just becomes -3. So same y coordinate. I mean same y coordinate, just change of sign. Okay. Here we are given a table and then which of the following transformations will transform f to g. So if we want to go from -2 to -5 or 0 to -3 or 1 to -2 or 3 to 0, I think we are going 3 units to the left because if you subtract -3 from all these points, you're going to get all the points of the other table. So -3 means you're going, you know, left by 3. So I should have f of x plus 3 somewhere because f of x plus 3 means it is you're going left by 3. And if you look at the y coordinates, then 4 becomes 6, -3 becomes -1, and so on. So it is getting increased by 2, which means that there's a vertical translation up by 2 units. Option D. Okay. Then over here we have -3 to 3, 0 and 0, 2 becomes -2, 4 becomes -4. So the x coordinate switches the sign, and that happens when the function is reflected about the y-axis. So the y-axis reflection looks like f of -x. That's the thing. And if you look at the y coordinates, all the y coordinates are doubled. They are all doubled. 1 becomes 2, 5 becomes 10. So double means there should be a vertical dilation by a factor of 2. So I think option D matches, right? 2 times f of -x. Okay. Over here we are given that -2 becomes -1 and 0 remains at 0, 2 becomes -1. So obviously all the x coordinates becomes half. So there is a shrink by half, which means that I should have f of 2x somewhere because it works counterintuitive. So it is C, it is B or D. And then all the y coordinates becomes double, right? All the y coordinates becomes double. So if the y coordinates becomes double, then there should be a 2 right on the outside. So there will be a vertical dilation by a factor of 2. So there should be 2 times f of 2x. Okay, over here they are saying that what will be the new domain and range be? Now, I don't know, guys. I don't know if you are aware of how these things work, but remember, I'm just gonna add a new page and take a couple of minutes to explain. It's gonna be really helpful. So in transformations, when will the domain change and when will the range change? Remember, domain changes only when you are doing some transformations for the x. For example, either you are doing translation horizontal, or you are doing dilation again horizontal, or you are reflecting about the y-axis. If you are doing any of this, then the domain is going to change. And likewise, the range is going to change when all these things happen, but in the vertical sense. So translation in the vertical orientation, dilation also vertical, and reflection towards the x-axis. So that's when the range changes. Just remember these two things and you should be okay with the domain and range questions. Now, they're asking that what is the new domain, and notice that the only transformation towards the horizontal side is just provided by f of x minus 3, because this means that x is going 3 units to the right. The function is going 3 units to the right. So all you have to do is in this domain add 3 on both the sides. So if you add negative 4 with 3 and 6 with 3, that's your answer. Negative 4 when added with 3 will become negative 1, and 6 when added with 3 will become 9. So the answer is option B. That's the domain. And likewise, they are asking for the range as well of the same question. Remember that range depends on the vertical transformations. The first vertical transformation I see is a vertical dilation by a factor of 2, and then vertically going up by 1. So in the range, just multiply 2 both the sides. So it will be 0, y, 20. And then you add 1 on all the sides. So it will be 1, y, up 21. So that's going to be our new range, which is 1 to 21, which is option C. Likewise, new question for the domain they are asking. Obviously, the only change in the domain is due to this 2, which is a horizontal shrink by a factor of 2. So this domain that I see from negative 4 to 6, this is going to be divided by 2. It will become negative 2, and this will become 3. So negative 2 to 3, that's the domain, which is option C. And likewise, they are asking what is the range over here. So I think the range is also going to work in a similar fashion. Remember, the order is really important. So the order is first I either reflect or dilate by a factor of factor of 3, whatever you want to do. Actually, you can do both together as well. It doesn't really matter, but I can show it one by one, piece by piece to you. So the original range was 0 to 10. You multiply 3 because it becomes 3, a factor of 3, so 0 to 30. Then you multiply negative sign, so obviously the inequality will flip. It will become negative 30 to 0, and then you subtract 4 on all the sides, on all the sides. So negative 30 will become negative 34, and this will become minus 4. I hope you understand why I'm not doing all that to y, because I mean this is the thing that I want, right? I'm not really want to apply the transformations to y because I know this is my new y. So I'm just doing the operations on the left and right side and not to the entire y. All right, I hope these questions are making sense, guys. If you still need some help, just feel free to reach out for tutoring. All right. Okay, now the last two types, the last type in the two questions that we have is when we are given a point and we have to write the new point based on these transformations. So more or less the same phenomena. First, just look at x. X is going to change only by this x over 2, which is a horizontal stretch, right? It's not a shrink, it's a stretch by a factor of 2. So 2 will definitely become 4. Then the range or the y value first will dilate by a factor of 4. So 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. And then you have to add 1 to it. So negative 11. So 4 and negative 11, that is the point that we are looking for. And finally, 4 comma 1. So first off, 4 is going to change by moving 3 units to the right because this is x minus 3. So 4 is going to become 7. So obviously A and B are not possible. and then 1 is going to be multiplied by -2, so it will become -2, and then you add 4 to it because that's a vertical translation. So 7 comma, so 2 is the y coordinate, so 7 comma 2 is the final answer. All right, guys, I hope these questions were helpful. If you found these helpful, then please like and subscribe. Please share this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.